In those few short moments, Johann Bauer decided to become a robber. I'm in luck, my first customer looks wealthy. It's werewolf time. Werewolf by Night is an adaptation that many may not have expected to be in the cards, but the character of Jack Russell, yes that's his name, is making his way out of comic pages and on screen. While he would eventually become the protagonist of the comic series Werewolf by Night after debuting in Marvel Spotlight number 2 in 1972, that was not the first instance of the Werewolf by Night title being used. I keep saying Werewolf by Knife? What does that even mean? So I had to go back and find the original story, because I like to do that. I wanted to see what was going on in this first story, and what I got was a tale, a Marvel tale, heavy on the twist factor, and I thought it would be fun to experience it together. I'm Sasha, this is Casually Comics, and it's time to go back to Marvel Tales. Werewolf by Night was originally a 5-page story in Marvel Tales 116 from 1953. It's one of the last tales we're going to see of that nature from that time period, because the CCA, the Comics Code Authority, is rising to power. Get ready for Zuvembis. I had to do a recount when I initially learned that it was 5 pages, which is accurate. It just feels like more, in a good way. A lot happens in these 5 pages. Marvel Tales was the Atlas Comics continuation of Marvel Mystery Comics, which had run for 92 issues until 1949, and had been published by Timely Comics. Marvel Tales would continue on using the numbering from issue 93. It was an anthology series, and you could find a wide range of tales inside. From the mysterious to the horrifying to the slightly sci-fi. It ranged, just like the trucks driving by my house. My street used to be closed, and now it's not. Now it's just trucks. For this story, I could alas not find the author, but I could find the artist. It was Jack Abel. It is also the story that gets cover billing with a cover by Joe Maneely. The cover is slightly not clickbait. There is a werewolf story, but it completely misrepresents the era and tone of the tale, with a woman stalling a man to welcome to the neighborhood only for him to tell her he has to go. While she pushes, he slowly turns into a werewolf, telling her she shouldn't have kept him waiting. That's victim blaming. Oh, woo! Although it is also very annoying when people stall you on the street and you have other things to do, like transform into a supernatural creature. Werewolf by Night is the second story in this anthology, featuring our protagonist, Johann, fleeing from a giant werewolf on this little side teaser panel. But we open on a costume party. On an afternoon in 1890, a great snarling beast appeared in a garden and a frightened girl screamed with terror. No, let me go, help! But the garden was in gay Vienna, the beast was handsome Johann Bauer, and Bettina Lascher's mock fright gave way to mocking laughter. I told you I'd kiss you before the night was over. You haven't kissed me yet, Johann, and you won't till I know you better. After all, we just met. I hope she doesn't mean literally, like that wasn't their literal first meeting. It probably wasn't. Johann is very keen on Bettina. He says that he wants to see her home and see her every day after that. He's shooting his shot and he's doing it in a ridiculous monkey costume. What a giga chad. Bettina decides to leave the party early, and while Johann isn't keen to do so as well, he wants to see her home. He doesn't want to miss that chance. I'm tired, Johann. I don't care to stay, but if you don't want to see me home. Of course I do, darling. I'd leave the Emperor of Austria to be with you for 5 minutes. Ooh, look at her emotional manipulation. Johann liked that. The ride goes well, and he gets the go-ahead to see her anytime he wants tomorrow. But this is the beginning of Johann's existential crisis. Johann never got past the asking her out part of his player's handbook. Now she said yes, and he's unprepared, zero plans. He saw that her house was nice, and now he's panicking. Bettina has everything a man could want. Beauty, wealth, but what have I to offer? A poor clerk. Wow, those are the only things, huh? No wonder he was okay with her little emotional play there. Good personality was not on his list. She just needs to be hot and rich. In that order. Well, when you don't have enough money to take your girl out, there's only one thing to do. Instantly turn to a life of crime. Johann doesn't even go back to the party. Instead, he gets dropped in a sketchy alley because he's gonna rob people. First up the Waynes. In those few short moments, Johann Bauer decided to become a robber. I'm in luck. My first customer looks wealthy. He does have a nice cape and a walking stick. Guess it's a good thing he picked giant gorillas to look after all. No one's prepared for that in an alley, or are you? But as Johann is carrying out this robbery, he realizes the man is staring in terror, but not at him, at something behind him. Johann darted aside and a fierce figure sprang past him. Help! Save me, please! Johann takes off, leaving this man to be brutally murdered by a werewolf. And he goes home deciding that a life of crime is not for him. It's too dangerous. These streets belong to the wolves. Unfortunately, there's a knock at his door. Get away, haven't you had enough for one night? I'm going to stay here with you, my friend. You're so fast at catching them, and I'm too slow, not as young as I used to be. I love this panel of the werewolf just casually opening his front door. Also, this man is just a murderer because he is entirely in control of his faculties. We are not using any kind of werewolf lore where they go crazed animal. No, he just likes doing this. He could have stayed at home reading a book, but nah. It's also noteworthy that Johann's objections stem not from the fact that this is a werewolf and the terror of the supernatural, but that he's decided not to rob anymore and he doesn't want him staying in his house. If he was a nice werewolf, maybe he could help with the rent, but a murderer, no. But he gets blackmailed into it, and so begins their awkward cohabitation. When Johann awoke the next morning, his unwelcome guest was already up and dressed, a pleasant enough looking man when normal. John found Johann. What are you doing, narration box? Are they already on nickname terms? Is that what's happening? But you just can't stay here. I have just met a young lady. What would she think if she should find out about you? What would she think if she found out you're a robber?
Oh, snap.
And so they're at an impasse. Also, he threatens him with the police. They go out and keep robbing and murdering. 1,099, exactly 2,000 kronen. If this keeps up, I'll soon be wealthy. With all this money, he can take Bettina out every day, and he does. It's going okay. He's not even feeling guilt over being an accomplice to murder. But then Bettina drops a bombshell. She wants to visit him at his house. Johann could not refuse Bettina, and the next morning he pleaded with his guest. I told this certain young lady I live here alone. I wouldn't be able to explain your presence. And you want me to make myself scarce for the afternoon, eh? Well, I have no desire to interfere with your love. There's a dark sitcom idea lurking somewhere in here. If he comes back and there's a sock on the door, he's ignoring it because they have murdering to do. Johann spent the time till Bettina's arrival getting his place in order. Relatable. Why, it's quaint, Johann, and so neat, but it needs a woman's touch. Is she gonna plaster the walls? Is that what she means? Because that's what this place really needs. But time flies when you're having fun, and all too soon, the werewolf's back. You're acting so strangely, Johann. Why should I go in there? Your makeup, Bettina, it needs fixing. Just what every gal wants to hear. Your makeup's terrible. Go fix it. The werewolf returns and Johann panics. It's all over. How will Bettina feel to know that he's been housing this werewolf and also helping him murder people so he can rob them so we can take her on dates? The answer is perfectly fine. Twist time. Father, I didn't know you knew Johann. Bettina, my child, so you're his girl. Good, he'll never escape us now. The end. This is one of those twist for twist's sake endings. You have to earn your twist. This just raises so many questions. Are they estranged? Why would she not know that her dad was staying with Johann? Do they just not talk? So she's okay with her dad just murdering people at night for kicks? Does she do the same thing? Why did he have to live with Johann when Bettina has a perfectly nice house? Do these werewolves transform every night? Do they have to? Or is it by choice? How long was her dad planning on working with Johann? It can't go on forever. Was he just gonna murder him when it ended? This is a poor twist, but it gets some points in the Bettina front because we did see her leave the party early, so there is some slight setup. Still, there are some enjoyable elements of the story, for me anyway, although I don't think they're intended that way. Johann is a terrible person to an amusing degree. He could care less about pretty much anything so long as he has cash to take Bettina out with. He turns to crime so fast, first option. And he has no fear of the supernatural itself, but just about how it's going to inconvenience and impact his life specifically. Werewolves exist and they're inconveniencing him and threatening him with the police and maybe death, but most of the police. It's a pretty run-of-the-mill story that detours from a seemingly standard morality play to deliver a twist, because it can. In terms of what carries over to the Jack Russell version, well, they both have werewolves. They pretty much just took the name. But it's neat to go back and look at the original, in my opinion. Whatever became of Johann? Nothing good, I imagine. What do you think happens after the credits roll? What's the post-credit sequence for Johann? Do you have a favorite werewolf comic? Share all your thoughts down below. While you're down there, please do all YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to spend discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it. I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.